place where spirits get eaten.
Full-time guardian / renaissance man in a world not conscious, unresponsive. Must it take a martyr to finally accomplish? And piercing through the armor at the heart of the audience. The wool over eyes is the wolf is disguised as the shepherd. He's trying to take the needle off the record, mimicking the people while they sabotage the culture. The image of the eagle is to camouflage the vulture. Results are the separate sides in this great divide. Neglected over time, it'll leave the generations blind. Sacred was the blood racing through the nation's heart, circulating hurt and hatred, breaking them apart. The freedom is the charge, the flow is the medicine. I hope to set a trend to choose your own adventure in the path of life we travel on. Is deeper than we know into the fall of Babylon. Let my people them go.
Yo, man, I love what I'm hearing. But now that you got this platform, who are you inviting?
This is for the entrepreneurs growing conscious and pure, keepers of the sacred, dreaming up the greatness, survivors who inspire us just as living proof. This is for you. This is for the youth on the rise with the future in their eyes. Those who save lives, it's a day-to-day grind. If you seek with open minds the divinity of truth, then this is for you. Then from the horizon came a thunderous sound, echoing loud throughout the crowds. Under clouds formed above, assuring them of more storms to come. Looking stunned the once. It took everybody's breath away. The stillness made it feel as if life were featherweight. But those who chose to get away on their own and levitate were quickly led astray to a revolving state of constant yesterdays. For what you underestimate becomes what you investigate. Perhaps the better way was to humbly bow to step away. A sudden noise subsides. A flash ignites the skies, brightness miles wide, shining through their eyes, giving insight, inviting you to glow. Until then, all my friends, welcome to the flow.
Welcome to the flow. Here we go, because nothing's gonna stop the flow. Nothing's gonna stop the flow. Lead us to freedom. Come on. That's my reminder. Nothing's gonna stop the flow. Yes. Welcome to another fabulous episode of the Freedom Flow. I am your host, Repertoire, and I am doing very, very well. My heart is full. I just had an opportunity to meet my group of 6th grade boys with the Stepping Stones Project and reunite with this work of mentoring and the work of my heart. So I'm just feeling really, really good. We have a really special guest coming up. If you can see what's happening right now, very sacred moment for me, very long overdue moment that is just divine as it is. But we're also going to be exploring culture because that's what we do here at Freedom Flow. It's about more culture, less color. That's the hashtag. And we're exploring songs with a cultural message. Songs that it's not just about the song, it's about what they're talking about. It's about, the country that they're talking about, some of the political injustice that they're talking about in that culture. So we're going to begin with Talib Kweli and Ballad of the Black Gold. And this is the song about Nigeria and the injustice that goes on there. So keep it locked. Shouts out to Mr. Classic and Situation and Circumstance crew. Talib Kweli, Ballad of the Black Gold. Keep it locked. Freedom Flow, KCBZ Radio. Yes. So Vicky, we are now clear on the air, but folks can still check us out on the who are watching. Get to also hear us right now. I don't know if you saw, but I was getting great responses from folks who saw the post about you being on today. I'm imagining some of them are watching.
Fabulous.
So yeah, like I said, I was this last Saturday. I had my first day long.
Right.
I'm at the Stepping Stones Project now, and it was something that I was kind of unsure of. They were unsure of whether or not there'd even be a group ready for us, but there is, and wow. I was in tears just riding home from that day long and just, mourning and grieving all the time that I had spent without students.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was beautiful though. Definitely going to be a fun year with these boys.
Yeah. How much are you working with them?
I believe we'll have like a day long once a month, and we'll have an hour Zoom call, and then we have these parent meetings that we also have to schedule to kind of keep the parents in tune. So, I believe that ideally we want to go with this group from 7th grade to 8th grade as well. Like that's the idea, to kind of mentor them through the whole process.
Yeah. Well, speaking of 7th grade, your friends at Del Mar would love a little Randy love.
Del Mar. Really?
Yeah.
So did you get word from
David?
From David Cover over there? Okay. Yeah.
So let's talk about that if you want to just pick up. They're probably going to be like 3 30-minute Zoom calls or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So,
yeah.
So if you want it, let me know.
Wow. Okay.
We're flowing.
We're in the flow.
I just got that today, which is interesting, the timing.
Okay, well, I'm going to write that down in my notes over here. Del Mar.
I put it in my notes today, too. I'll follow up with you about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So good to see you.
It's great to see you, Randy.
Yeah, I missed you.
Yeah, I've been missing you, too.
Yeah, I feel like the last time I got to see you was, and there was a lot of people. It was a great turnout for that soul shop thing. That everybody kind of came together, and it's like, yeah, I can't help but to want to just pour my heart out when I'm in that group or in a group like that, because I don't get so many opportunities to do so anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we're missing that for sure. Yeah. Definitely missing that. I miss staff meetings. I miss all our togetherness.
Yeah. So I'm curious, with the theme that we have here tonight, are there any songs that you can think of off the top of your head that have a cultural message?
I was so hoping you were not going to ask me that question.
Oh, okay.
Because you know why? I mean, if you really knew me, you know that I'm actually, I don't track, I'm not musical. That's not one of my smarts. But one of the things, even when I was listening you to do when you were doing the intro about music and culture, there was something that popped in my mind, which was Spike Lee's movie, Do the Right Thing. And there was just something about all the music, Rosie Perez dance. I mean, there was just something so powerful, especially at that time, about what it really means to rise up. And there was so much controversy about rioting, protesting, why people would even burn something or burn their own neighborhoods. And the message is so much bigger, right? About what we're really fighting against, right? And the machine that's bigger than that. So, so it just came to me, and there wasn't actually even, a particular song or music, but there was just something about that movie. And again, someone like Spike Lee, who loves great music and all kinds of music and jazz and roots of hip hop. And I just remember I have that feeling, right, about how much, not just that story, but again, the music really resonated with me.
Yeah, and from what I remember, it was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Like before that, I don't think I can remember I guess just life being depicted so real. In the sense that it was, and just all the tension, like just being right in front of you. And having to live in that. I feel like there wasn't a movie that depicted that so accurately yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So props out to Spike Lee and Do the Right Thing.
The right thing. Yes.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job as well in the movie.
Oh. Yeah, it's such a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's Frankie?
Frankie's doing very, very well. She is she's such a character. She's like so coming into her own, and wanting to just, I think she's like really dialing in on who she is and wanting to express herself in that way, like potentially cutting her hair. She had cut it fairly short and is thinking about cutting it even shorter. And one of her friends had done so and gotten in big trouble, because she did it against her parents' will. But I just feel like she's just really exploring herself and her identity. She's right there in the midst of it, and lots of patience I have on my end. And she's been not really wanting to go out and do so many things because of her cramps and things like that, and it's just like I got to kind of be with all that. But she's yeah, it's all happening. But it's great though. I'm definitely, I feel like there was a lot of great setup for this to happen, like the ways in which we've connected.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like you were made for, all of it, but specifically this time of her life, right?
Yes. There's so much work I've done with this age group that it's like,
it's your sweet spot. It's your sweet spot. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm thinking this should be easier, but it's my own. So, can you see? Are you on gallery? Can you see that? The 30 seconds?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's going to be kind of popping up throughout the interview. Let us know like the 1 minute warning and things like that. So Great. Here we go. Yes. We are back here on The Flow. I am your host, Repertoire, and we are listening and exploring all these songs that have a cultural message. So what you just heard was Talib Kweli, Ballad of the Black Gold, and then Saul Williams' remix of Sunday Bloody Sunday, which was originally done by U2, and such a huge political song. And just, there's something about songs that can really accurately depict the history of a culture, of a people. And I would imagine these are the songs that become their anthems. So we're going to be just exploring more and more of these songs throughout the night. And we're also going to be exploring the beautiful culture of people, as we do here on Freedom Flow. It's all about more culture, less color, with our special guest. And what an honor it is to get this guest on The Flow. To be honest, it was one of the first people I thought of to really get and to interview and to draw the gold from. But timing worked out as it did, and we had to reschedule, and then we had to reschedule, and here we are divinely. So, special guest, please, would you do us the honor of introducing yourself to our listeners out there? What is your name? Yeah, what's some roles you go by?
Hi, I am Vicki Abadesco, and I'm honored to be here. And in this moment, right, I'm not one for roles or titles, but so in this moment, it is like, friend and colleague of you, Randy, and yeah, I actually want to have you do the intro.
Do an intro for you, huh? Okay, we can.
Who am I? Right? It's like, right? It's like if we're celebrating people, like who are we really? We're beyond titles and roles and positions. That's right. Like that's what we're all like. Yeah, it's great to have those, and at the same time, we're people, right? We're humans, and how do we get beyond that? Right? I'm here because. Right. You have a special place in my heart and my life. And, and I have learned so much from you and working with you for so many years. And, we're just talking about your daughter growing up and coming up. And, right, we're just in a time where everything has meaning, right? And music has meaning, and music has always had meaning through time. And has marked occasions and have been markers for people in our lives and, the different times in our lives. And so So yeah, so I think about you when I think about one of the things when I think about you is your love of music, and for you, right, to be hosting something called Freedom Flow, it's just that is you, and so
yeah, definitely.
right. So just feeling honored to share this space with you and to be in the flow of connection and conversation.
Awesome. Yeah. And perhaps it might be more valuable for our listeners and people to know the impact that you've had on my life and that you've just have on people. I mean, for the past 14 years, from what I remember, just meeting you was just a grand thing because you were in this organization already that I was becoming a part of. And you're like, the other Filipino there for me, like, oh, that was super dope. And as I got to know more of you, like, for me, like, just seeing you on the floor for the first time, I remember in Orlando, Florida, I was like, wow, like I had never seen a Filipino woman be that strong and be that confident in herself. And for me, that was like monumental. Like, wow. And it had me, and when I think about it, it had me even look at my own relatives in a different way, and just like the way you held the bar. And throughout the years, just your level of integrity that, I think I remember even sharing on an interview when I was sharing about how you're my mentor, just the way you've held integrity throughout the storms. You must have the strongest sails that I can ever imagine, because you just come out still anchored and you come out with more fire. And, it's just been an honor to learn from you and to been given all the opportunities I've ever had. I don't think I would be at this part of my life to be able to lead Freedom Flow without you. So thank you. There's your intro.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you're welcome.
So let's begin with affinity, which is something I learned from Soul Shop. Shouts out to Soul Shop first and foremost. I feel like I shout Soul Shop out so often on this show, and now people are like, oh, we can put the face with the name in that sense. So please tell us one thing you've accomplished and will always take pride in.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, we're in our 20th year of Soul Shop, and yeah, it is definitely yeah, I'm so proud, and and it's, I could talk about, the amazing people who have worked at Soul Shop, the impact that we have, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of young people we have touched through our SEL programs, bully prevention programs, communication, peacemaking skills, like all that good stuff that nurtures our hearts and helps us to be good humans and kind humans. And I'll think about all of that. And when I come to like, what is the real heart or essence of that is, I think our young people, they need us. They need us, right? And all of us as adults, we can think of our younger years and how much we really needed the adults in our lives and how we needed healthy adults in our lives. And so when Joseph and I started Soul Shop, part of our mission was to keep listening, just to keep listening to the kids. And we always said that, we weren't doing this work because, we just want to be out there and do it, right? It was because the kids are calling us and they want it through their hearts. And how do we keep listening to their little hearts and responding to that? And I feel proud of that.
Wow. Whew, we can end right there. I mean, that's deep right there. I want to just repeat that just for the energy of it. It's how do we keep listening to their hearts? How do we stay open to all that and not get distracted by everything else? And this might be redundant because the next question kind of speaks to what you were talking about, but perhaps there's other angles of this you want to take it to. So please tell us one way you help people and what you provide them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this, following up on what we were just talking about, I have a saying that our greatest our greatest wounds are also our greatest gifts. And you've heard me say that. And, and so I think when, at Soul Shop, when we stop to listen to little hearts, I mean, part of that is our own courage to listen to our own hearts. And part of a lot of conversation happening today, especially around culture and what's going on in the world, is how do we really look at all the ways we have been raised and socialized in our culture, in this particular culture and country, to actually not listen to our hearts. And so where have we lost ourselves? Where have we lost our hearts? And so I think that's one of the reasons with young people, it's easier to hear their hearts because they're so much closer to them. And I would say for me that one of my gifts to the world is being able to foster that kind of empathy to slow down enough to hear what's really there. And I want to hear what's really there. And I'm willing to hear what's really there.
And lastly, if you could please share with us, please tell us one person you believe in and why you stand behind them.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many, and like it's like I could talk about you, Randy, and all the ways that all the ways I can count on you, right? And all the ways through the years, I've always been able to count on you, right? And even the places when it's been rocky or hard and challenging in the last couple of years, right? It's been so much of that in so many different ways. And I can always count on you to say, hey, you know what? I may not be good at asking for help, and here I am asking for help. Or sorry, I ran away, and here thanks for trusting that I'll be back.
Oh. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like that's how I inherited the name Mr. Show Up. Like I feel like that's like part of like my persona on the road is like Mr. Show Up. Like there's going to be these things that pop up, but I'm going to show up in it with it if I have to. But it's all about showing up. Thank you so much though for highlighting that. And the show is about the guests. The show is about really discovering how you might have become so great, like what were the steps and the journeys for you. So we're going to rewind time and take it back to your roots, if you wouldn't mind. And would you share a little bit about so where were you born, Vicki? I'm going to learn a lot about you in this interview as well. So we're going to take it all the way back. So where were you born and what was that like?
Yeah, I was born in San Francisco, and the youngest of four. And, just a moment ago, I was just talking about how, I have this belief that our greatest wounds are our greatest gifts. And, right. And so my parents, who were immigrants from the Philippines, and really struggled. They struggled from a lot of discrimination and a lot of hate. And they had a really tough time. And they really believed that if they can Americanize their kids, that their kids wouldn't suffer the way that they did. And so we see roots of colonization, right, where then culture gets stripped away in a particular way. So you know what? It's not good for you to have an accent. People will make fun of you. So don't speak our language. And that is a pain in my heart, and it's a pain in my siblings' hearts, that something as central and vital to our parents, they didn't feel they could pass on to us. And I think about what was it like for them to make that choice? right? What did it take for them to leave their country to come here for something better, and for that to be the choice? For that to be the choice. And I think, oh, there's both pain and such great love in that. Right? And for a long time, I was mad. Like, why did you do that? Do you know what you stripped us of? And when you look at it the other way, right, it's like, oh, that's the only way they thought that we could make it here, so that we wouldn't experience the level of discrimination and hurt and harm and oppression that they experienced.
Wow. And I can just imagine the various amount of cultures who are suffering from the same tragedy of that idea of achieving the American dream means, getting rid of a lot of the roots of who you are and what makes you you. And, that's part of part of the poem in The Great Divide is how it leaves the generations blind to themselves, unfortunately, because, and as the generations grow, they're going further and further from that. I feel like part of our duty, I feel as of knowing this is, how do we therefore preserve this? And maybe like even start more reverse effect of it, where we can spark the interest of children wanting to learn more about their original culture and their origin, and even visit their homeland in that sense. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Have so much pride.
Yeah.
And so again, like there's this thing where colonization has seeped in so much that right, we take on the shame, right, and we become ashamed, versus having pride in who we are and all the things, right? And every culture being, encouraged to have pride, right? And you live, right? And in our country, there's been so much hate and so much harm done from being different, cultures, religion, ethnicity, like, right? And so where do we come back to being this kind of culture and country that really is about acceptance, right? And learning, understanding, and having pride in that way.
Yeah. But, I can imagine, even though this was occurring, there was that child in you that still held the pride for, part of your future, and probably still had some dreams and aspirations. Can you recall some of these childhood dreams that you had, or aspirations? What did you want to become?
Yeah, anyone who knows me knows that I always have had a very entrepreneurial spirit to me. And so I can remember, it's like back in the day, there used to be, when you got like the Sunday paper at your doorstep, the Sunday paper, you go through, and there'd be like coupons for things, right? And, of course, you can go online and get coupons now, and coupons still exist. So I just remember I used to love going through that Sunday paper and finding like the best coupons, because I wasn't sure how coupons worked. All I knew was that they were amount of money, right? You get 10 cents off of this, 20 cents off of that. So I just thought that I could use this coupon and someone would give me 20 cents. Okay. So I remember cutting them up, putting them in a shoebox, and going to like the playground saying, who wants this 20 cent, coupon for whatever. Well, I don't even, who knows what it even was. And I just thought, if I gave this person this coupon, they'd give me 20 cents. And I just thought, that's like the roots of me as a business owner, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a, right, an organization, just the roots of that, super creative. How do I do this thing? I got my hustle on. What do you know? So,
wow. Yeah, there's something about like how just like your idea of economy in that way, and I love that the fact that you were collecting and then you would bring it forth to people at the playground, regardless if it had value or not. Like, it was the intention, the principle of the matter. Like, hey, I got some some doorways and some bridges to some deals here, some bargains. We're all on a budget. I feel you. That's awesome. Just hustling coupons. Okay. Nice. I would imagine if you kept that up, you might have even gotten a nickname around that. You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You know, time is flying so fast with you. I just feel like, you know, like you know, there's so much time that I feel like spent in just after you talk. When you speak so powerfully that, like, you know, letting the moment sit and letting it land is so vital. So, you know, it brings us to this place where we got to take another break. And we're going to get more into your story and journey, Vicki, after this next break, where we're going to continue on with the songs with a cultural message, starting with Damian Marley and Nas, Patience. And this is from the Distant Relatives album. And it's hot. It's fire. This one's super dope. Love the instrumental, and I love the message in there. So check it out. Damian Marley and Nas, Patience. You heard it. KCBZ Radio, Freedom Flow. We'll be back with Vicki. Blessings, everyone out there. Hold tight. Patience. Wow. That was so fast.
Yeah. Because, you know, we're just hanging out.
We are just hanging out. My goodness.
Yeah.
You know, there was a moment I was at this family gathering, and it was in this memorial of my aunt, Auntie Mars, and we all like lit these paper lanterns, the candle in it, and we put it, you know, on the swimming pool in my cousin's house. And I stopped for a moment. I was like, wow, like I just had this realization of like, I'm surrounded by people that I love. And it had been so long since that had happened. And, you know, with that said, like, you know, I miss you. I miss those staff meetings. So much of just having a chance to check in and hearing everyone else check in. That's so vital to plugging myself in. So I thank you for speaking to that, because I missed that too. Like if being at Del Mar meant I get to participate in staff meetings, I'd just do it for that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it says something what you're speaking to about, you know, and I think the soul shop culture, our culture is, you know, that you're always a part of, Randy, right? Is, yeah, right. It's like it was always there. And so when it's not there, and having those regular check-ins is not there, right? It's like, oh yeah, who am I checking in with? Right. Right. And at least, right, you know, at least once a month you were checking in with a big group of people. And you know, and I even feel for myself how much that right, our crew was like the regular people to check in with. Not that I didn't have, you know, other, you know, not that I don't have other people to check in with, but it's just, you know, this particular group of people who have these particular skills to do this particular thing.
Speaking of those particular people, I just received a text from Bro Rye. Bro Rye. Shout out to Bro Rye out there. I got you. Yeah, Rye. Yes. We are live on YouTube. It's going down. Did you catch the episode I had of him?
I missed it.
It was beautiful. It's beautiful. He's such my brother. That boy right there. And I believe I've seen a lot of pictures of his posts lately over in North Carolina. I believe that he did make the move.
South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina? It's South Carolina. Yes, that's what it is. SC. Yeah. Nice. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm appreciating that, you know, people get to have their freedom in this time, and ways that, again, right, we're learning about how we can still be connected. And it may not be the ideal thing, like we're not in the room having staff meetings, and right, people are finding ways to be connected. And that's important. And I think a lot of the work that we do can help with that.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the practices, a lot of the just the simple principles of how we hold things. You know, I find myself oftentimes chanting, perfection or connection before perfection. You know, when it doesn't feel right, I'm like, oh, this is the perfection right here. Like I gotta be with the disconnection in order to connect. Like and feel that like, oh, this isn't working. Okay, this is awkward, but like, it's got to dissolve in order for us to find our way to each other. So it's just been such a. I just feel like it definitely like hone my skills on how I can be in a best served in a room for people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. So this is a question that I feel I didn't get to ask you, but I'd love to hear if you have an answer for this. And um, can you recall like an event or a moment that happened that really humbled you, like as you were growing up? What's something that happened that you feel you got a big lesson, a learning lesson from?
That's a great question. Um, yeah, I mean, I'll go back to what I was saying earlier about this greatest wounds, greatest gifts concept.
Mm.
Yeah, because of some of the harm, oppression that my parents experienced, my mother wasn't quite sure how to deal with that, and she didn't have a lot of skills to deal with that. And so she got prescribed medication, she drank alcohol, and the combination of those two things really created very unpredictable violent behavior. And, when I think back on those times in those younger years where, again, most little people, kids, are really vulnerable during that time. And a lot of there's a lot of heartache, or there was a lot of heartache from that time. And, places where things felt hopeless. And when any child goes through a level of that kind of trauma, it often can feel overwhelming. And so that feeling, if it's not healed, stays with us. So even as adults, when things feel overwhelming, a lot of that has our roots in when we were kids, when the issue was overwhelming because our little systems couldn't handle what was happening. So when we get overwhelmed, right, it's like, oh, we're having an experience of that young trauma where in reality it really was overwhelming. So I find like it's times like those and that time where really felt humbling, right? I can track many times throughout, even the 20 years of Soul Shop where it's like, oh, we're going to make it this year. We're going to make it this year. There's been educational cutbacks, a couple times throughout, Soul Shop's 20 years. And, and again, right, it's like for us, like, oh, how do we just keep listening to the call? What's calling? And all this even say, right, here we are in our 20th in the middle of a pandemic. I don't really know, right? How much further are we really going to be able to go? I don't know. And that is really humbling. It's really humbling.
Mm. Thank you so much. It's so real.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I remember you were the first one to show me this video of this song, This Is America. Here we go. Yes, we are back here on the flow. You just heard Damian Marley and Nas, Patience, and Childish Gambino, This Is America. And the culture in those songs are fairly obvious, and it's great how, I believe Sabali, what they were chanting in that song, Patience, means patience. And there's so much that Damian Marley was saying around, the culture of patience, and how, patience is something that we definitely need and develop throughout time. And this is America. If you ever seen that video, there's so many messages within there that describe the culture of America in itself. And, so much to the point that I feel as if like America's not ready to see a lot of those things, but needs to. And shouts out to everyone pushing the envelope, everyone raising the bar on the truth that needs to be exposed in order for us to heal. Our greatest wound is our greatest gold, just like our guest, our awesome guest, Vicki Abadesco was sharing with us. And, we just got a little bit into her past, a little bit into her upbringing. And she just got done sharing, some of the stories, some of the story that humbled her, that, I believe that created the strength and resilient woman that she is today. So we're going to continue with this other segment entitled What Would Change If? And it's kind of framed around that and play a little game with you. So it was great to start off that way. So Vicki, how are you feeling first and foremost? How are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah.
Doing great. We are here.
Right.
Awesome. So what would change if you had one wish granted?
What would change, or what would be the wish?
I guess I'm asking both. If you're really listening, I'm asking both.
Yeah. I always have I have such a wish for liberation and freedom. And on so many levels, on economic levels, on so many levels. Right. And there's a lot I could say about that.
Okay.
And, but I think about, may all beings be free from suffering, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free. Yeah.
That one out there. All right. So what would change if you had control over one of the four elements?
Oh.
Oh,
this little image of Storm from the X-Men.
Okay. Nice.
Right. Halle Berry, of course, version, right? But then she's an element, right? Storm, right? And there's something even greater about what I think the elements actually need, right? So it's like, we could say all the blessings to, Mother Earth and Father Sky. And, but there's something like, I just want to hug them, right? It's like, oh, you're right. Thank you, water. Right. Thank you, fire. Thank you. And so I think there's like loving attention is, a thing where when something is in need of something, how do we give our loving attention to that thing? And I feel the elements are calling us. They want our attention. And how do we give it to them in a loving, caring way? That's so like me, hug it out.
I love how you just like all inclusive. Like I would be Storm, but these other elements too. Like they wouldn't be lonely. I love it. Only you could pull that off too. I love it. All right, so this last one here, I feel it's great because it's in reference to kind of where we were in that first segment. So you're the Vicki of now, and you have all the wisdom of who you are. However, you get this grand opportunity to wake up tomorrow and you're in the body of yourself as a child, like 5 years old. Like, what would change if you had to do it all over again, but knowing who you are now?
Yeah. I would say to the little me, oh, sweetheart. Yeah. Just go play. I get it's sometimes scary and it's sometimes hard and it might feel hopeless, but your joy is with you. Go share that with others. Go play. Have a great time.
Give away those coupons. Be generous.
20 cents for you, 10 cents
Right,
for
yeah.
you, nickel for you.
And you get a coupon, and you get a
Coupon
coupon.
for all my friends.
Just making it rain. Oh man, like you were Grouponing back then and not even knowing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, if we could keep that frame, what would change if? And you were curious about any questions you could ask me in that frame. What might you ask me?
What would you change if you were role reversal with Frankie?
Oh my God. What would change if I was Frankie and she was me?
Yep.
Oh man. Wow. This is unfortunate because I would be so much more of a terror than she is. Like, I feel like she has no idea as to the extent of pranks and things that, like I was starting fires at her age already. And I mean, in honesty, I feel like if I was like who I was now, Frankie's at this place where she's like, she says like, I hate you, but I could tell that she means I love you, she's like kind of in this opposite phase. I don't like who you are. And, she'll say these things, but there's that, it doesn't have the edge, she doesn't mean it. I can tell she doesn't mean it. And, I don't know, I guess I would change that and I would just be upfront and not have to like saying I love you and being loving. I feel I wouldn't want to frame it around sarcasm. So that's what I would change, because it's the one thing that I feel needs to be preserved as real in order for it to maintain its essence, and because it gets lost in so much other sauce.
Yeah.
So that's what I would change.
Yeah.
I like your questions. I want another if you have one.
I go all day. All day
I
now.
You go hard in the paint, man.
What would you change
Okay.
if you never had to worry about ever any kind of financial resource?
Well, that's hard. I was pondering that a lot, especially when I was pondering that a lot. When that was like the biggest worry for me was, how am I going to eat? I used to think like, wow, what would I be thinking if I didn't have to think about this? Like what kind of freedom would I have if there wasn't this pressure? And my answer would be, I just work more on me. I feel I can just really focus more on me. So much of my time is consumed by that sometimes, that worry. And it's like embedded in my bones. If that was like not a thing, I'd vibrate a lot differently. And it wouldn't be it wouldn't be the scarcity and desperation. I feel like it'd be more like, I'd want to transform that into like self-love and just expression. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what's real. Thank you so much. Oh, that's my freedom. That's my flow. We're there. Thank you so much, Vicki. Awesome. So let's get a little bit more into you and your journey. And I guess a question that I haven't been asking my guests, and I feel like it's important, is what's one thing about your culture that you feel that what's one thing about your culture that you'd like for people to know, that you like to see more of, more celebrated?
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just finished leading a 3-part group called Panay's Healing Ourselves in Community. And so a group of Filipinas, Pinays coming together to really talk about how do we heal? And there's a lot in Filipino culture, gossip and put downs and body shaming and all kinds of shaming, all kinds of shaming.
Yeah.
So whether that is something, we inherited, again, colonialism, Catholicism, capitalism, where we really have taught ourselves to hate on each other. And so there's a lot of internal racism and hatred that we have towards ourselves. That again, that we were taught. And so how we turn that on ourselves. And I think that there is, again, what I was saying earlier about like, what would it have been like for my parents to have more pride and to come from that place versus the fear? And again, I know they were doing everything that they did in love and thinking that was going to be the greatest thing for us, for their children. And, in this group that I was leading, one of the things about what I know, not just about humans in general and everything we know and what we do in Soul Shop, but I think just as Filipinos culturally, we are a people about community. We are a people of service. And so I know many cultures, including Filipinos, right? We, part of the way we show love is like, eat, right? Look all food all the time. Right?
Take this home.
Right? So people know lumpia and adobo and pancit, right? Like all of these great foods of Philippines. But part of that isn't just about the food, right? It's like what that means, right? And what it means to share with other people. And I think sometimes, a lot, especially for folks of color, right? That place where we are so community oriented that service to us, that is being in community, and how that has gotten twisted into something else, right? Into labor, into other ways that have really stripped the real heart and value of what it means to us as a people to be community, oriented community, like our hearts sit in the community.
Wow.
And that's real.
I'm curious, like I'm imagining there's someone listening who either is Pinay or maybe knows a Pinay and like would love to be a part of this group. How might someone get into this group or get in on a conversation? What are some connections to that?
Yeah, you could reach out to me.
Okay, that's number one. Okay.
You definitely reach out to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's some fantastic, Pinayista is a fantastic group of, Pinays just gathering, young, all ages, doing all kinds of things in school, having hustles, entrepreneurs. But part of it's really us, being in sisterhood together in a really powerful way, and also unlearning those things that I was just talking about. And then relearning how to be together in a way that's uplifting versus, tearing each other down.
Yeah, I just feel there's not enough groups of women of color specifically to that culture that like when there's one that I discover, I would love to like just highlight that and be like, oh, I know some people as well who I'd want to refer to. So the information was from me as well. So just to be honest. So let's get into a bit of like, Soul Shop was born, Soul Shop was created, and it's been 20 years. And before COVID, I know that I was scheduled to go to a school. I was supposed to go to Miller. I remember. But for you, I guess I'm curious as to like checking in with you. Like before COVID, where was Soul Shop at? In contrast.
Yeah. I'm going to say, right, I think this, last year right before COVID hit, in retrospect, I think we all thought something was coming. Like it felt hard. And I knew it felt hard for a lot of people. A lot of people were running too hard, running too fast, nothing but complaining about the traffic in the Bay, hard to get here. I mean, it just felt like we all were exhausted, right? Adrenals all shot, everyone's tired, people can't sleep. And so then I think like there is on one level, right? Not that, COVID and the pandemic have been super stressful. And I think people have been able to slow down in a way that otherwise we would not have.
Yeah. And during this transition, I remember getting involved in some of the Zoom calls, the first Zoom calls that Soul Shop was offering to the students and the teachers. And there was something about hearing the children. I was like, oh, it's like, it's still there. You know what I mean? Like what's current for Soul Shop now? Like, how could students still get a hold of Soul Shop?
Yeah, we've got a great digital program that we are offering schools. They can purchase that. We're also setting that up for folks who are homeschooling. And we also still offer live lessons. So people who do digital program can then get a follow-up with a live facilitator to do live lessons. And so we're offering that. And then we have coming up next week, every day, 5 days of fun. One of those days is going to be Randy doing freedom flow.
To learn freestyle writing?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
So I hear some kindergartners up in there.
And they can access that through the site, through soulshop.com?
That's right. That's what they can do.
Awesome. And we're going to talk more about that. I'm sure there's a lot more I'd love to promote in that, and just getting people more aware of how to stay in tune to Soul Shop and its growing audience and its growing, I feel like, approach and plan to keep the love going and stay connected and keep that quality connection throughout the cultures of the schools. After this next music break. And so we're going to get back into songs with a cultural message, starting with Black Eyed Peas' Bebo. And this is like the Filipino anthem right here. And I don't think there had been a Filipino anthem prior to this. So shouts out to Apple the App and Black Eyed Peas. And then we're going to get to our poem piece by Bassie Ickby, Homeward. So be sure we listen into that, and we'll enter the next segment talking about that poem. So keep it locked. Freedom Flow, KCBZradio.com. Music, the culture and the message. Black Eyed Peas, Bebo, 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 Bebo. And this is all Tagalog as well. So I don't understand it so much, but I know he's talking about the girl and the future he wants with her, and just how he's going to be with her, because it is slick like that. Keep it locked. KCBZ Radio. Man, if there's like a debut or a Filipino wedding, this is playing. It's it's like cha-cha slide standard, I think I remember first hearing this song and I was like, what? Like they really did this? I was flabbergasted. Like, no way. Like, thank you. How about you? Do you remember your first experience with this song?
I think I was with a group of people, and I think I did the same thing. I was like, my ear went up like, what?
Is he saying that? Filipino? Whoa, you saying it? Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. You reserved your feelings until like confirmation, like, no.
Yeah.
Oh! Yeah, I feel like having you on the show and it's definitely this being so accessible. This is the one. And I was watching some interviews with BEP, and like oftentimes people celebrities would shout out this song, like, oh, that song's the jam, and they wouldn't know too much about it, but it was just the vibe and the just what it carried within it. So it's a powerful song.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Eric B, these beds are great. If we could just remember to turn up the volume when it comes to the poem. Oh, got you. Thank you. Eric B, my goodness. So if you could catch me up with things, I know that I'm on staff still. We have Anthony, you got Eric B, Is there any new facilitators I'm unaware of that snuck in under my radar?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well,
no.
I never know. I know you're always on the grind. I know that, there's always peoples out there.
Yeah.
5 days of fun. What was the inspiration behind this 5 days of fun?
So every month, because it's our 20th anniversary, so every month around the 20th or the week of the 20th, we're doing a free community event. And so this free community event just happens to be 5 days. But we thought, last month was all about loving up educators and sharing some support with them. And so we thought this month, let's just, get with the young people again, because one of the ways to really love up educators and adults right now is to do fun things with their kids. So 5 days of fun, right? So they get to freestyle with you. They get to learn how to beatbox with Anthony. We got somebody who used to do improv in New York City who's going to do Got Jokes Kids, bring them all. Do comedy jokes, other jokes. We got somebody who's going to do some dance, and someone to do some fun expressive arts. So it's really
Thank you. Okay, we're going to get to the poem. Thank you.
Today I remember my grandmother as she attempts to connect with her second children. She finds the only English word she knows from somewhere hidden in the belly of her 4'9" body, and instead of "I won't gay," she greets us with "bye-bye," beckoning us into her thin, clay-colored arms. Those arms mothered my mother, taught her how to mother me. I inhale the history from her skin, and she tells me of the small, scared girl carried away in an iron bird to America. Seems like that same bird has returned only to replace that perfect girl with me, this strange, tongue-tied woman, the one that can barely say hello without the clicks and moans, the dips and tones of the white man's language. It breaks my heart to realize that I can only love her clearly in English. But this is not my only tongue. Insolent and heavy with the awkward movements of amber waves, east or west. This is not my village, and my heart still longs for my grandmother's voice, steady and strong, crossing rivers and oceans, rounding buildings of mud, thatched roof, steel, glass, concrete, confusion. Yet I am afraid that it will not find me here in this land, miles from the one that welcomed me into this world, lifetimes before I existed in this cosmopolitan space. Nbong nong yi ben yami. Nbong nong yi ben yami. What will I teach my children? What will I tell them of where I've been? The earth that shaped me, the hands that held me. What will they call home, and will they hear it if and when it calls them? Oklahoma, DC, Brooklyn will not help me remember Ikom, Ugep, Calabar. Will also not let me forget fingers sticky with fufu swallowed whole, tongue stinging numb from plantain fried in palm oil, but I have lost the grit and the grain of my grandmother's gari. I can't taste past this nostalgic lump in my throat. I can't stomach the reality of this, my divided culture. African, American. I am everything, and I am nothing. Nigeria is quietly begging me to remember, while America slowly urges me to forget. But it's for my past, it's for my future, it's for my children, and it is for you, my grandmother, that I must always, always remember.
Yes, yes. You just heard Black Eyed Peas' Bebel, and that was a poem piece by Bassie Ickby, who I've had on the flow before, and that piece was entitled Homeward. And we are here with Vicki Abadesco, and it'd be great to hear, what did you make of that poem?
Yeah, beautiful. Right, I'm moved by. There was a particular line about, when home calls, will you hear? Will they hear? And and I think, I'm moved by that from what I was sharing earlier about the pain my parents experienced. And Yeah. And what they felt they had to do to strip their culture, our culture, from me and my siblings. And so I can feel that in myself, right? Can I feel the motherland in me? And I can. And I can. I'm so glad that I can. So feeling that in my heart.
Yeah. I love how real she is, that realization of being only able to love her in English.
Oh, yeah.
Just like calling to those lines, these boundaries. And, she just has a way of really delivering that, like setting up the punchline to where it's like, oh, like it just, my heart drops. And my heart dropped a few times in that piece. And I just love how she brings it back to her grandmother. She's like calling to all these distractions, but then she's like, but I need to stay anchored. That's the one thing that, like, that it's the one thing that wasn't so much taught or so enforced or endorsed or encouraged for me, but that's where I need to be. And I just want to encourage all the listeners out there, like, can you hear the calling of your motherland? And if not, like, what might it take for you to connect to that part of you, that part of your family, to have that be a clear signal? There's one thing I know about Vicki and her success. It's because of this connection. It's because of this anchoring and grounding that she has, that guides her, that keeps her grounded. So that's just my invitation to everybody out there. And thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share within that might have come up for you?
Yeah, just beautiful and courageous. And I think so much of, I think what so many of us feel, right? There's such a desire to be connected, and right, our connection to our lineage, whatever that is always there. It's always with us. And so sometimes it might be hard or challenging to get there, right? Or there might be places where, again, like you were speaking to, it's like, oh, I can only speak in English, when there's so much more that wants to come forth. Right. And right, just as in what she was saying, so much was coming forth. Right. And sometimes it's not just even about our words, right? It lives in our being. And then, and in those words, we feel that in our being, right? She's resonating that, she's transmitting that to us.
I'm curious. So what advice might you have? Maybe there's someone out there who just heard that and was like, wow, like I can't speak of my elders like that, or I'm not really sure as to like where I'm from. Like, what advice might you have for someone who has the curiosity about tapping into their culture and wants that for themselves? Because I feel like you have such a firm grip on it that you'd be a great one to speak on.
Yeah, I love that you would ask me that question about the elements, right? Because right, we are on a particular land, right? And wherever anyone is listening, it's like we are on a land, right? A land that oftentimes doesn't get honored, right? I am on Ohlone territory, and I honor the people that lived here, right? And carried and cared for this particular land. My people, I live in this space, and my people, right, also have a land. And right, everyone in this moment, we all have paths, right? All paths that brought us to this moment, this time. And right, so I don't even know if we need to know the names of specific people of where we came from, or even a specific land or place or spot. I think if we can get quiet and listen, we can feel our history. We can feel our lineage that goes beyond ourselves in this lifetime, and our parents and our grandparents and the generation even before that, right? And oftentimes I think we think our lives are like this is it, my pain from when I was a kid to now whoever I am now, when really, even when we say my pain today, no, that's my pain. It's your pain. It's my parents' pain, it's their parents' pain, right? It's not my pain. I want to make it about me. It ain't about me. Right? So if I get clear about that, then it's like, who comes after me, right? So our lives are so much bigger than our particular years on this planet and then this lifetime.
Yeah, it's a great place to start, just really looking at the big picture, especially because I feel like what keeps us blind from that is that kind of funnel vision, in a sense, tunnel vision. So yeah, let's get into a bit of like Soul Shop is still on the move, as it always should be. And I'm curious as to like what might be your plans or your hopes and intentions for the future of Soul Shop and for the future impact that that you're going to be making.
Yeah, right. It's like we still want to do what we have always done, which is create and provide safe spaces for young people to be who they are and who they want to be, and give them space to talk and share about what it's like to be them. And even in digital virtual spaces, we want to provide that. When we are doing live virtual lessons, we still aim to do that, even though we are on screen. We always want to be the people that remind people of their goodness, right? Remind them about how amazing and powerful and smart they are. And again, I think we're in crazy times where, man, we need that so much more. We need it every day, all the time, all day long. And yeah, and so my hope is that we will continue to be able to provide really amazing programming, that we, this has given us an opportunity to really move outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. So there are listeners who are in other parts who want a demo of our program, connect with me. I'll make sure you get one, so you can experience what we are about.
Yeah, from what I remember, I remember seeing KCBZ Radio, a big part of promoting a lot of the Soul Shop stuff that was up and coming, and that's been a great. I'm honored to be a part of that as well. Part of having you on the show was definitely making space for that. I mean, it's just naturally going to come through having you. It comes with the package. Standard equipment. Awesome. Yeah. And my hope is that Soul Shop has a breakthrough. I feel like it's time for things to break through. It's time for like this realization that this truth in which we hold to become a realization in the world and in the world of education. If anything, I feel like the revolution of education is like we're right there. Like we're right there. Like I feel like this is right there. It's really getting into learning the child. Yeah. Learning, like that's part of that. And I'm curious, any input you have on that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are seeing that. I think the pandemic has really had people really think about their emotions, their feelings, right? Where is our emotional intelligence, our own emotional awareness? People talk a lot about this thing called emotional regulation, but it's like, does anybody actually really know what that means, how to do it, the impact of it if you're dysregulated and what that means and the impact of that? So I really think that, right, we're learning like, oh, where am I? And I think any day, right, it's like, again, we could be really up one day and then really down another day. And for most people, we're not actually used to being on an emotional roller coaster like that. And our systems aren't used to that. And so, right, so for me, it's like always at Soul Shop, it is about building the emotional and social development of our young people. And we are in the time where we all, young and old, whatever age you are, we need that, right? And so if you're going off on people and then you don't know like why, right? You might want to check yourself. Check yourself. What am I feeling? How can I communicate what I really need, right? And again, a goal at Soul Shop is how do we notice, recognize what we need, what we're feeling, so we can really ask for the thing we need. Right. And so many of us are having tantrums like we are little kids because we don't really know how to ask. And we're in situations that are super stressful and pressurized. That, of course, right, So there's a lot to process there, and there's ways for us to grow up emotionally right now as adults. And right, how do we be supportive to kids in their emotional well-being right now?
Yeah, my hope is that it becomes just part of the maturation of the system in itself. I feel like this is the part of the education system we've yet to grow into. You know, so many times during classroom visits, I would be like seeing the look in the teacher's face, like, wow, this is the missing piece. It's like that wisdom paradigm. It's like, oh, we're all just so mind body. It's like the heart spirit. It's like that's being neglected. And when it comes forth, so there's this understanding the students as a classroom get to have. It's like, oh, I see the student as like I think I'd start to have empathy for the student, in which most times they would see as annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Randy, you have how many stories of, being able to really see a kid, and in a sea of kids, and again, in the way that we had been moving in the world, right? It's like you go to this class and you move here, and then you go there, and then you have this, and you go to recess, and then you're off to soccer, and then and that, you got to be home, then you have the dinner, and you clean your room, and you do your chores, you take your bath, right? Like it's just, right, this, crazy schedule we were all living in. And then you have Soul Shop that comes into the space, and right, it's like, and then there's a kid that says something. And you notice that kid saying something. All right. So I'm curious if there's a story that pops in your mind about, about something like that.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. I remember, and this is Mr. Classic might remember this because I was at a school that he came and observed me at. And there was a student who came up to the chair of help, and they were sharing, and they were just talking about their situation, but it was like void of emotion and feeling, right? And they were talking about some pretty intense stuff, and it's almost like they had normalized it. And I'm imagining that this is kind of how they normally talked about it. And there was a point that I reminded the student to just kind of just stop and breathe. And then I asked him, and I completely changed my tone because I feel like that's what really was calling to that space. I said, I'm curious as to what's that really like for you? Like really like. And I just kind of felt his shoulders fall into like it's the feeling of it. And he started crying and sharing a bit more in depth of what that was like. And the whole room shifted, right? They were like just in tune with his share. They're just like, and then all the shoulders dropped. And there was this, like when the room gets there, like we're there. And I felt like there was nothing else to do but just to highlight the courage of the student and to also just get him the support, because I feel like I just feel for the room. I just like my empathy just feels for the student, and I just feel for the room because it's the room that's going to be caring for the student after, until I'm back next month. And I feel like this is a school I was so connected to that if I said it, it would be happening, because Randy said it. And, it's just a way of getting that student the love, and just there's nothing like, wow, this moves me every time I think about it. Like seeing the comfort in the students' eyes when they're looking at the students and just kind of nodding, like, yeah, you see me, y'all got me. I miss that. I miss that happening, because I feel like that needs to happen more. And I feel like that was why I was in tears coming back from the Stepping Stones, because I saw so many opportunities for that to happen again. And that's my goal. That's why I'm here. That's why my heart still beats.
Yeah.
Just to, yeah. So thank you for asking to that, because yeah, that's me. Thank you for all the opportunities to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I think that is the goal. It is I think when I even say that piece about, what are the kids asking for? What are they calling for? And that's it. Somebody to listen to them, somebody to see them. Right. And you do that so beautifully, Randy. Right? And I'm so grateful that something called Soul Shop has been around for 20 years, providing that kind of space, right? Space for people so gifted like yourself to be able to share their gifts. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember coming into Soul Shop, being in this place of transition, coming from Tapped In, and I just want to thank you and Joseph for just embracing me in that transition, and for your faith in me. I wouldn't be the leader I am today. I wouldn't be the father I am today without Soul Shop. Without you. There was something about, and I feel like I've told you this before, but I need to say it more. Like, there's, in so many ways, you've just helped to grind down the edges of my heart that I feel like, in so many ways, that my mom didn't have access to. And I allowed you into that space with me because I trust you in that way. So thank you for that. And I'm only imagining just the many ways you've helped others like me in that same fashion. So thank you for that, and for the many dimensions of your gold.
You're so welcome. Thanks for letting me love you.
Yeah. And for everyone watching and listening, it's called Freedom Flow because I too need to be reminded to allow love in, and that love is available for me, and that is my flow, and that is my freedom. I'm such the giver of that to receive. It takes someone like Vicki as a guest to really to really just bring it to my heart. Oh. The Kleenex is close.
As it always should be when we're together.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so anything else you want to say about the shop? Because we're going to have to start wrapping up over here soon.
Yeah, just, if you don't know, soulshoppe.org, check us out. Lots of ways to support. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, awesome. And any other handles? I remember you were talking about your Pinaista and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure they can get a hold of you through the shop there, but is there another handle perhaps that might be a bit more appropriate for that?
Well, the fabulous group and the amazing run Pinaista, of course, Pinaista, I believe it is .com. You can check them out there. You could also reach me at vickiabadesco.com, as well as soulshop.org.
Awesome. Well, I can imagine with Bro Rye and our brother Adam, who said to be tuning in too, and Mr. Classic, who might you want to shout out at this moment? Like, if you had a moment to send love to people.
Yeah, just of course, any Soul Shop crew, always big love, and always our young people out there, right? Sending so much love and care. Just to everyone listening, right? I had said earlier, we all just need these moments to slow down and be reminded of the goodness and the sweetness that's in our world. So I'm just sending so much care and warmth out to whoever's listening. May you find a soft place to land your head this evening.
Yeah, and I think I'd be remiss if I did not mention the name of Mr. Joseph Savage.
Of course, yeah.
Of course. It's thank you, Joseph, for who you be, and there's a way in which you were stepping into your healer energy that was very inspiring to me, and it continues to inspire me. So thank you for that, and we need to hook up and get a session in because I just feel so grounded when I get to connect with you. And just shouts out to like you said, all the facilitators, before and after and all that. And yeah, I wanted to say just thank you for believing that there could be more to this education thing than there is now. And thank you for just your continued tenacity. I just feel like there's nothing that's going to get you down. Like Soul Shop is going to thrive and survive through it all. even if there was no electricity anymore, like we would come up with some way to create a gathering and get some programs happening, because we just need the flip charts, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? We can create the music, you know what I mean? We got this going down. Oh, Vicki, thank you so very much. Having you on the flow has been just such an honor. Having you in my life has been such an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have Adorable on the next episode, so I hope you tuned into that, because it's some more Soul Shop love. And I wanted to thank everyone out there for listening and for staying tuned, getting more education around Soul Shop and what's available for young people these days, and the Pinaista and just all the beautiful cultural things that are being pushed these days. And we're gonna close the night out with Cannon Waving Flag, and another song about culture. This is the way to do it. Thank you. Stay tuned for Melanated and Spiritually Woke with Adorable Earth Angel, and blessings to everybody. KCBZ Radio, Freedom Flow. This is Repertoire signing off. Blessings. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Vicki.
You are welcome.
That was everything I was imagining it was going to be.
Yeah.
Just real free and kind of open.
Yeah. Well, I knew I was in safe hands. It was like, yeah, well, we don't need